David Guerillas, and I'm at the Crown Office just now in Scotland, and I'm just wondering if the Crown Office has been compromised, actually compromised by its alignment with our political class, and whether or not people can get fair trials. We're starting to creep into some sort of left-wing authoritarianism or globalist authoritarianism that other people think is acceptable. I certainly don't. Obviously, being a libertarian, I do not feel that there is enough of a demarcation between state and judiciary, this being the Crown Office in Edinburgh. So, we've just seen Alex Salmond with his fraudulent, or what is increasingly looks fraudulent, false sex allegations. Don't forget the SNP want to actually stop jury trials in sexual assault cases. I guess if they were actually bringing forward allegations from their own people to destroy people, men, well, not just men, but anybody's reputation. Doesn't have to be just false sexual allegations. It could be false any allegation. No right for polygraph tests and things that might disprove people's innocence or prove people's guilt. So we have now seen Alex Salmond's trial, where he's been found not guilty of 15 sexual improprieties, go to the Crown Office. Alex Salmond has said he submitted documentation that the police have now said they haven't. So don't forget that both the police and the judiciary are under the control of Hamas Useless, the alleged terrorist supporting First Minister of Scotland, whose family, I'll come on to in a minute, whose family, with regards to the drugs deaths in Scotland, seem to be involved in it, his extended family. So we have now found out that the Crown Office is not going to take this any further. They're not going to take any further the allegations that Mr. Salmond has submitted to the police, and the police have said he hasn't submitted it. That sounds very dodgy, and I can understand, having dealt with the police, that there seems to be a compromise not just in the judiciary but also in the police force, where evidence doesn't have to be submitted, or you can hokey-cokey the evidence. It should be mandatory with criminal fines that every piece of evidence is put forward both to the defence and the prosecution. You shouldn't just say, oh, we can leave out this bit of evidence, we'll just leave out this and we won't put this forward. Every bit of evidence should be put forward and collected by the police. This hokey-cokey, oh well, we'll just not do this. We'll just not do this and we'll just do another. This hokey-cokey police force or police investigation is not real investigation. And the reason it's not real investigation is because it's not independent and compromised by the political class. Just now, it doesn't matter whether it's the SNP or Labour or anybody else. But this also then compromises the top of the judiciary. I've stood here before, and one judge has gone already, and now we're going to see Dorothy Bain going as well now, because she's been compromised, and it's the situation that's compromising them because of the lack of distance between the actual political entity and the judiciary, because the judiciary is now a captured product of the actual political establishment, means that there is no independence in the judiciary. Thereby, you're going to continually get judges that are compromised because they're not de facto independent, they're actual vessels of the state, just like the police force. just like the police. So we've now got a non-independent police force and a non-independent judiciary, and we're now going to have to now call for Dorothy Bain to lose her job as well, because she's compromised by seen to be lying in her job, in her role, because of what she's done. Because of the lack of distance between the judiciary and the political class. So Dorothy Bain has been, Lady Bain has been compromised and been seen to be lying, which then throws up her career, because of the underlying frailty in the system, which is the lack of distance between the judiciary and the state. Same with the police. The police are already compromised because of this lack of distance between the state and the police. So we're going to have to call for the head of another judge because of this. We're going to how do we get an independent review into if the PF is not bringing forward, or the police are saying, oh, we've not got the evidence to bring forward, and they've just lied. How are they going to bring forward the actual proper things if the police say, oh, we've not got it? Alex Salmond's saying, we've given you it, and you're saying, oh, we've not got it, and then burying the evidence. There has to be a third wheel that's not bespoke to the judiciary or the police that can investigate this in a non-partisan manner. Probably somebody who's not compromised being part of the SNP government as well. Yours truly will be independent and be able to observe both sides objectively. But Dorothy Bain, Lady Bain, has now been compromised, and we're going to have to call for the head of another judge because of the way the system was set out by the Labour Party when the devolution, the Scotland Act, was actually put forward in the first place. And the failure to have the judiciary and the executive, the legislature and the executive, the judiciary and the executive as two separate entities. And now they're all getting compromised. And now the judiciary is having to lie, which in turn is then compromising trials and compromising the objectivity of the judiciary to have fair and independent trials. Likewise, the police are covering up evidence. So if, as we all suspect, the Nicola Sturgeon set up these allegations and she's in charge of the judiciary, she's compromised the actual process for bringing in Humza Useless. So he's been compromised because he shouldn't have been elected. And he's then able to continue the mafia-style compromisation of not only the judiciary, the legal system, the police, and also the legislator, because there's not a separation of these entities, and things can then just be covered up, including the fact that his family might be selling drugs and killing people in Scotland, which I'll come on to down at the Parliament in a second. So Dorothy Bain has now been compromised by allegedly telling lies, which then in turn would null and void her as a judge if she's been compromised by lying to the actual because of the system, because there's no proper process. She's going to have to go as well. Can't have a judge that's lying. And that's the second judge I've stood here and said that they've been compromised by the lack of separation between the judiciary and state. That's the second one, and it'll happen again because there's no separation between judiciary and state. And now we're getting the police compromised. That there's Alex Salmond saying that they did put forward evidence, and then the state saying, oh no, then basically the state, but through the police saying, oh no, we haven't got the evidence. You've either got it, if you know it. Either he's submitted it and he's got a copy of it, and and the police are now lying. The police are now getting compromised by this mass cover-up to protect wee Nippy for making false sexual allegations and getting her squad in to make the false sexual allegations, allegedly. And now the police and the judiciary seem to be covering it up. And there's no objectivity, there's no other body that's going to be objective to be able to look at this objectively to see if Alex Salmond was set up. And then you compromise. I don't know if Lady Bain's been a good judge or not, I've no idea. But you then get automatic compromisation of the judiciary because of their affiliation to cover-ups in the actual executive, and especially if you've got a McMafia, as we've got just now in Parliament. So mark my words, judge number 2 is going to have to go. There's compromise in the police force now as well. Either Alex Salmond did submit it or it hasn't been submitted. And then the Crown Office, which is in here, is now not giving the correct information forward to the police. Is not giving it to the PF, or some way it's deliberately been obscured. And there's no, because this is all under the state, under Hamas Hamza, everything, the judiciary, the police, and the SNP have all been compromised to lie, to cover their own ass. And we're going to see another judge going. So that's twice I've stood here, and one judge has gone already, and this is a second judge that's going to be going. For lying, you can't have a judge that lies. And then the police, there's a compromisation in the police. I've already had to deal with the police, so I've not gone into it recently. I'll go into it a later date. And the police have not got evidence and not didn't have to get all the evidence. They can just pick and choose. That shouldn't be allowed. The police should have to get from start to finish all the evidence that's involved in an incident. And especially if there's some orchestrated incident. This is a bit like what was the one Tom Cruise was in, Minority Report, where there's a plethora of evidence, and then the police say, oh well, we've just not got all the documentation, so we're just not going to bother, because obviously we're under the SNP's guidance, who are the ones that are compromised. Or the PF didn't get it, the evidence, or even though Alex Salmond's saying it's been submitted. Somebody's lying. And we can't have a police force or a judiciary that's found out to be lying. That's them compromised. But they're going to continue, so we change the person, so that person's compromised, we change the person. It's the system that's compromised because of the lack of distance between the judiciary and the state and the police. So they can't really they can't really investigate criminality within the executive. And that's what the situation is. So they cannot, if within the SNP that seem to be criminal and compromised, and they're in charge of the police and the judiciary, who's going to supervise that? Who's the objective third party that's going to scrutinise the criminality if it's been affected within the police, within the legislator, within the executive? Who is objective enough to scrutinise that? Anyway, my baby gorillas, that's another judge going to go. Trust me, Lady Bain's already compromised by lying. How you doing?